A message to the specialty coffee community from Pacific Foods Barista Series. Our products have always been inspired by and approved by you, the coffee community. Now, you're inspiring us. You've come together during the pandemic to face the current challenges with optimism, hope, and hard work. We've never been more proud to be partnered with you. This podcast is brought to you by Seattle Coffee Gear. For over 15 years, it's been Seattle Coffee Gear's mission to help you make coffee you love. With their online store, YouTube channel, blog, and expert team ready to answer all your questions, they're here to help you get the perfect coffee setup. SCG delivers the latest machines, supplies, and fresh coffee from specialty roasters around the country right to your doorstep. Visit seattlecoffeegear.com for everything you need to get brewing.
You're listening to episode 96 of the Coffee Sprudgecast. I'm Zachary Carlson.
I'm Jordan Michaelman. Zachary, we're closing in on episode 100. Can you believe it?
I can believe it.
Well, each show greater than the last. We're thrilled to be with you here today. We're drinking some coffee, and we're going to have a little special taste test here at the top of the show before we get into the focus of our summer podcast seasonal spectacular, which is the beautiful and incredible Build Outs of Coffee series on Sprudge. Yes, Build Outs of Coffee, a survey of new, under construction, newly opened coffee bars all over the world. It's back in 2021 after a much missed absence in 2020. The 2021 edition of Build Outs is presented by Fellow. The series is sponsored by La Marzocco, Pacific Barista Series, Marco Beverage Systems, Dona, and Sustainable Harvest, to whom we say a gracious thanks. We've got an incredible list of recent builds we're going to be talking through and featuring on the show today. But before we do that, Zachary, tell us a little bit about the coffee that we've got before us at this very moment.
We're drinking coffee from the Coastal Coffee Collective out of Santa Barbara, California.
Yes.
It is the Mexico Finca La Laja. And it is a honey process coffee. And we're going to dress it up. We're going to try it on its own. I French pressed it.
Okay.
Because I'm all out of filters.
Oh, but you use the new Fellow.
I use the Fellow French press.
Yeah, I actually made a pot of that. This is not SpawnCon. Seriously, I made a pot of it last night for my 5 p.m. Perk Me Up.
Yeah.
Which is, there's nothing I like more than a 5 p.m. cup of coffee. It's my favorite thing. And I had a beautiful cup of it yesterday, and it was so nice.
I love a French press. My brother just moved to Oahu.
Yeah.
And starts his morning taking a French press to the beach.
Wow.
And watching the sunrise. How glorious.
I miss when you used to be able to go into like a coffee bar, and they'd have a big old like air pot. That was the best.
We're going to dress up this coffee with something that is so polarizing. It blew up our Instagram when we suggested even trying adding a bit of hot sauce to coffee.
Yeah, we had the story that was like hot sauce and coffee is not bad, which we realized was maybe kind of a hot take. But, here it's 2021. It's all coffee maximalism. Anything you mix whatever you want into your coffee. You have your coffee ready to drink with a milk of your choosing, plant or cow derived, whatever you're into. And we're like post-condiment snobbery. We're mass access. Everything's delicious. Big tent. Coffee's for everybody. And I say bully. I mean, we've been big on this trend on Sprudge because it sort of vibes with our own personal outlook of drinking and enjoying things. I was not prepared for hot sauce to draw as much fever as it did, and it really did.
It's interesting to me that like we don't celebrate taste. We add sweetness to our coffee.
Sure.
No problem.
Yeah.
Why not add some heat? Why not add a little bit of salt? Why not add a little bit of sourness and, add a little something extra?
Yeah.
Why is sweetness the only approved addition to coffee.
Yeah, like fruit and sugar is the only thing you can put in it that makes it okay. For me, one of my favorite coffee pairings in life is like a mug of. When I say diner coffee, it doesn't have to be literally in a diner, or I don't mean that as a low quality thing. I just mean like breakfast coffee, drinkable, chill, washed coffee. Maybe it has the diner connection, but it also could be just like a nice house blend, or like something that like most good roasters offer, like something that's just sort of a daily drinker, or like you think about like what they do with like the Yes Please subscription, something that's very like sessionable, like a daily kind of cup of coffee drinker, right? That with hash browns and green Tabasco, maybe a little cheese on the hash browns, as like a breakfast combo.
But never Tabasco in the coffee itself.
Not in the coffee itself, but together, like in like a bite and a sip and a bite and a sip. So when I think about hot sauce in a coffee, it doesn't feel that far out to me, because I love drinking coffee with a spicy food, or like I love drinking coffee like on a plate that has hot sauce on it. So it really that much of a leap to think about putting it in the coffee. But people were like outraged that we suggested that this was an okay thing.
And we weren't suggesting adding like a hot sauce that's heavy on the vinegar. We were merely suggesting adding a heat element.
I think that it was interesting to see, you know, to your point of saying like, well, we add sugar, we add dairy or things like that. First of all, we don't have to be purists. Being coffee purists is like reductionist and like kind of fraught. And like, second of all, life is short. And like trying things is fun, and like a little bit of joy in your miserable life is something that we can all take a moment with. So don't hate, celebrate. Try some spicy coffee. What's your deal?
Can I back up for a second?
Of course you can.
When you mentioned diner coffee
Yeah.
at the very top, my brain immediately went to the sensation of a bitter cup of coffee at a diner due to the fact it had been heated on a hot plate for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And there's a very specific taste sensation from that kind of coffee. That's kind of stale. The bitterness is amped up because of the heat and the time. And there is something really special about that. The bitterness, the smoke, there's something to be said about that. But anyway, I want to get to this hot sauce that we are about to try.
Yeah.
Because it isn't just any hot sauce. It's hot sauce that is designed for coffee.
Right.
And it's called the Ujo, UJJO hot sauce for coffee.
Ujo.
We've got two different kinds here. We've got one that's light roast and one that's dark roast. We haven't tasted them yet. Just looking at them, the light roast is a much lighter hot sauce, and the dark roast is a much darker hot sauce.
That's interesting.
This, just smelling, I have the light roast in front of me, and just smelling it has this, like, spice, it has like a nutmeg or cinnamon spice to it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the dark roast here, and I'm seeing some kind of angry looking red flecks gathered at the top. Well, I'm very curious to try this. So are we going to dose ourselves? We're going to...
I have, we each have 2 cups in front of us.
Okay.
We're going to put a little light roast in one, a little dark roast in the other. We also have a
control
of just the coffee itself.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I'm going to add, are we saying like a capful?
I'm gonna put, because there is a lot of heat to this, so I'm just gonna put a couple of drops in mine. We've added the hot sauce. Now we're gonna stir it up.
Okay, I'm stirring good over here.
Okay, now that it's incorporated,
Whoa.
you can really get a kick.
Hey now.
And it's really nice. There is quite a bit of enhanced flavor. It's not just taste that you would get with just adding like cayenne or something, but
Yeah, for sure.
It's got its own, like, it's got a spiciness to it, like the cinnamon spice.
Yeah. There's definitely, or like maybe like some clove or like allspice kind of a thing going on. It almost has like a jerk spice blend thing.
That is actually really nice. I am surprised.
And a little sweet too. There's definitely some sweet in there, We don't have an ingredients list for Ujo in front of us, so I'd be curious to know if like there's just a little cane sugar in it or what the sweet is from. Maybe just the sweetness from the peppers. But it's sweetening up the cup. It's not just heat. There's a little sweet on it too.
I'm tasting the dark roast now, and oh wow, that's nice. That's again, there's more flavor in the dark roast in addition to the coffee. Similar spice element, just a little bit deeper. We believe that the chilies themselves have been roasted more here.
Yeah, this reminds me. This has a little bit more of like that roasted chipotle kind of darker roasted pepper flavor thing. A little bit.
Again, really, really nice. Like I would love this on a condiment bar. And it really it doesn't compete with the coffee itself. It's a really nice, lovely addition to it.
It's surprisingly complimentary to the coffee.
Wow. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm delighted.
I like the light. I like it quite a lot.
Yeah.
Remind me, Ujo, we wrote the article without having had a chance to try it because we thought it was interesting, and then they were like, oh, thanks for writing the article, and they sent us some, right?
Yeah.
So that's very kind. Thanks for the gift, Ujo. But it was not a paid spot. This is not like they didn't sponsor this portion of the podcast. We just are sort of genuinely curious. I gotta say, this was fun and interesting and yummy to drink. And especially if you are like a hot sauce person, if you like hot sauce, and I very firmly am. If you are the sort of person who like has 5 or more hot sauces in your fridge, like you should try this because it's very good hot sauce. The combination with the coffee is yummy, but like I don't think you'd have to just do coffee. Like I think you could also like make other stuff with it and it would taste really nice.
Right, yeah.
Like for sure.
Definitely. Let's talk about build-outs because we've got some really cool ones that we've featured in the last couple weeks.
Yes, please.
I want to dive in.
Dive we shall.
Yeah, let's talk. Can we talk about, because I've got London on the brain.
Oh, sure.
Saint Nine Coffee.
We ran this amazing London coffee guide on Sprudge just a couple of weeks ago that we're really, really excited about. A guy named James Hansen worked on it for us. James works in London as one of the editors for the Eater London team and worked on this big, beautiful London coffee guide for us, starting with East London, and then there's going to be a couple more pieces that'll come from it over the course of the next couple of weeks and months. Very excited for that. And just in general, London, what a lovely place. Very interesting coffee scene. Also, one of the great food scenes in the world, and plenty of bars and places to drink wine too if you enjoy those things. And back to the coffee, we were thrilled to get this build out come in from the folks at Saint Nine Coffee.
Yeah, a multi-roaster.
They are a multi-roaster.
They're featuring Round Hill, Assembly, North Star, and more.
Yes, that's correct. This was a cool build out that came in. They've sort of taken this thing that we've seen a couple of different places do over the years of like an elaborate and very kind of thoughtfully built mural inside of the space that sort of becomes more than the architecture, more than the space. The mural becomes really the focus of the experience when you're in the bar. And the mural inside of this space is like absolutely gorgeous. The mural is from an artist called Gabe Sapienza, and it's printed on fabric before being like fit into the space, which is this really lovely little coffee shop. You can see in the photos on it, and we'll throw these up on the show notes for this. There's it's right on this kind of corner building that sits on Lavington Street, which sounds very English and cute. Wow, Saint Nine. So put this on the list. Got to check these folks on. And it is in on 67 Southwark Street in Southeast London. Very, very cool. The other folks in a city that I've kind of had on the brain a little bit recently, perhaps even unexpectedly had on the brain a little bit recently, is Nashville, Tennessee, which is home to the newest location of Elixir Coffee. Now, Elixir Coffee is a brand that is very closely associated with the city of Philadelphia, which is where Elixir is based. And Zachary, you and I were at the Elixir in Philadelphia I guess it was how long ago? 6 years ago? 12 years ago?
We were there in 2018.
2018,
Yeah.
on our book tour. We had a little book event there for our book, The New Rules of Coffee, that Elixir was very kind and hosted us at, and it was a great time. And now Elixir is opening their new cafe, and it's in Nashville. It's really fun to take a look at some of this kind of stuff. They're working on some cool stuff at that Elixir Nashville, which is sort of exactly how you would think if you'd followed that brand. There are some super gorgeously sourced, impeccably kind of thought through and roasted single origin offerings. There's also stuff like a butterscotch pink peppercorn latte.
Speaking of heat.
Yeah, talk about a spicy coffee drink, a butterscotch pink peppercorn latte. That sounds really good. Yeah, so checking out this space. Yeah, it's beautiful. Beautiful how they've kind of built this thing out. There's some like abstract lighting art and like a cute pink espresso machine, and it's all just sort of really looks very sort of chic and city, and like how you would imagine a really great, big city cafe, which Nashville, well, no shortage of amazing food and beverage offerings in Nashville too, and a thriving coffee scene, and all the better now with Elixir added to the mix. So now from London to Nashville to Birmingham, Alabama, which is home to June Roasters. Now, this year's edition of the Build Outs of Coffee approached opening cycles, opening dates with a big tent worldview, because we weren't able to do the series in 2020, and there was lots of people who were sort of like, hey, what if we opened a cafe not in the usual parameters? And we said, absolutely, we want to feature as much stuff as we can. Come on in, everybody's welcome, the water's fine. That said, we still are featuring the traditional version of build-outs, which is cafes that are actively under construction and have not opened yet. And so there's a mix. There's some cafes that are like open and ready to go, like that Elixir Nashville is open, St. Nine is open. But there's also cafes that are actively under construction, and we love that juxtaposition. And this cafe in Birmingham, they are building out this Roastworks and coffee shop, making progress towards a 2021 open. And when we spoke to Jimmy Trong from June, they sort of talked us through this idea of being a small batch roasting company, but with a storefront. They've got an architect that they've partnered with. That architect's worked previously on coffee shops, including with St. Frank in San Francisco, which is an absolutely beautiful coffee shop in San Francisco. And this is like this very inside early look at this cafe. So when you look through the photos and you look through the information about it, you can see like they're talking about their La Marzocco Linea and with like Ace dot shot timers and their Malcuni grinder battery and like all this kind of stuff that they're working on, which is really cool. But the space itself is like very under construction. And Jimmy Trong even tells us, like, we always ask, when did you open or what's your hopeful targeting month? And Jimmy says, sometime in August/September, ... hopefully, which is a very classic build-outs response. And we certainly fully understand and have all the kind of sympathy and respect in the world for like how those timing and schedules work for entrepreneurs that are building this stuff out, because there's a lot of moving parts.
A lot of moving parts, a lot of contractors, a lot of work. In the meantime, they are roasting, and their coffee is available at a couple of places. Little Professor in Alabama, it's a bookstore,
cool.
And they've also got Punch Love Coffee and the General Cafe.
General Cafe.
Serving their coffee as well. So, in the meantime, while we're waiting for this shop to open, definitely get a cup at those three places.
We love seeing a project under construction. We love having, Alabama in the mix, on the map, being part of this project. It's great to see, and this all looks pretty cool. So thanks so much. Hey, moving right along, Now, one region that I think is particularly well represented over the years in build-outs is the state of California, where there's always new coffee projects. Some of the great coffee scenes in the world can be found in cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles. And for this project, Craftsman Coffee in Pacifica, California, this was a post that kind of blew up on our Instagram because it's such a beautiful van. It's a Citron van that they've like gorgeously kitted out into a about as cute as it gets, a 1961 Citron high van. And they roast blended coffees. They make espresso. It's just as cute as can be. The van was originally brought over from England, it sounds like. They got it in January 2020, and they've been getting it all together and making it out and looking beautiful now. It's just like, it's really a setup project. They've got 2 Linea Minis in there, Makuna grinders, Akaya scales. They've got a puck press. And there's a reason why the visuals for this, people were just drawn to it for how beautiful it was. From just outside of San Francisco to just outside of Chicago, where we visit Bott's Coffee of Whitting, Indiana. And this was like a really cool story to get to look at. I'm a little bit less familiar with the like Chicago suburb exurbs geography, but I know it's all part of its own whole kind of cultural thing. Whitting, Indiana, I was unfamiliar with prior to this story. It has less than 5,000 permanent residents, but it's just right on Lake Michigan and only a couple of miles outside of the city limits of Chicago. And this is like such a cool story, you know, like this guy, Danny Falloon, opened up this project, I think first and foremost, you know, as a roasting project. And then it's got this weekend tasting room that's in it where they're trying to push coffee quality and do a really good job with thinking about introducing high quality coffee to like this little corner of the Chicago suburbs. And it's cool to listen to like talk, like people who really love coffee roasting and really love coffee. I love in these interviews where they get to talk about what they're so excited about. Like this guy, when he thinks about roasting, he says, I focus on sweetness, fruity zings, and resonating finishes. And like, same. That sounds so good. That's what I want in my life.
Yeah. I love the style. I love the art that's featured on the walls. And there's a Mr. Bean poster in the roasting space, which I enjoy.
Yeah, it's neat as a pin in this space, which is like a pretty little space, but it looks like such a fun place to get to go and have like a little coffee tasting on the weekend. And I'm sure that if you like live here or right near here, having something like this in your small town square is like a dream come true. Pretty cool. This was another one that we thought the interview and everything for it was really great too. That's a fun story. Make sure to check that one out in the links for the show. All these build outs are available to explore on sprudge.com. Check out the show notes for this episode and you'll be able to see lots more from our build out series, proudly presented by Fellow. Our sponsors for this year's season are La Marzocco, Pacific Barista Series, Sustainable Harvest, Dona, and Marco Beverage Systems. Wow, well, it's been a spicy show, Zachary. Things got a little hot here at the start. You're still sipping your Ujo. We talked about all those cafes, and I saw you were taking little spicy sips.
Yeah, I'm into it. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like the lighter one. That's my vibe. I like the lighter one a little more.
Yeah. I can see for the darker one more applications on food and different kinds of beverages. But the lighter one does really let the coffee sing.
Yeah. I want to put the lighter one on food. I'm thinking like, you know, a little roast pork or marinate some tofu, make some tofu skewers with that would probably taste real good on the grill. Some veggies. It all sounds really good. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Episode 96. Well, the countdown can begin. We're almost there for 100. We'll have to think of something have to think of something special to do. But until then, we'll be back with another incredible episode of the Coffee Sprudgecast, talking through more of our favorite summer builds, trying stuff, chatting, laughing, enjoying having this time with you. We sure do appreciate it. Thanks so much for listening. You can like and subscribe. Tell us what you think of the show. Give us a shout on social media. And we'll be back with another great episode. Thanks so much. I'm Jordan Michaelman.
I'm Zachary Carlson.
On behalf of everybody on the team at Sprudge, I don't know where we will be. Well, no, I always say that. I think we'll probably be right here. And I know for sure that we will be podcasting for you.
Let's open up a coffee shop, take it to the top now. Building now, whipping up a coffee bar, it's gonna go real far now. Everybody's hoping for change, means life. Everybody's hoping for change. Don't amuse swine, and it's like, when there is no end. What if there is no end? Building now, we're rocking up a coffee car with lots of lots in our yard. We're building now, we're setting up a coffee mark, and I hope you like it. Everybody's gathered by the fire, dynamite. Everybody's tethered to desire. No, it ain't wrong, it ain't right. So let's have a laugh, and you can have some half and half. Oh, building now, pop up like a food fair. This jumps over there. We're building now, how about like a horsey truck? I don't give a fuck now. We're building now, our new cafe is juicy fast. It'll be spectacular. We're building now, we're setting up the coffee bike, and I hope you like it. We're building now, it's here to follow. And long as I'll go, donut chai.